Hi, my name is Samantha. I've spent the last 7 years piecing together my life after a betrayal that left me questioning everything. 7 years ago, my ex-boyfriend Jake dumped me for a rich diva someone who dazzled him with glamour and wealth. I was left shattered, feeling as though my entire self-worth had been swept away with his careless decision. Today, I'm here to share the raw, unfiltered journey of how I turned that heartbreak into a catalyst for my rebirth. A journey filled with painful memories, fierce determination, and ultimately, an unexpected chance for closure. It was at a five-star restaurant, an epitome of luxury I once envied from afar, that fate intervened, and I met him again. In that opulent setting, surrounded by the clink of fine china and the hum of sophisticated conversation, I found myself face to face with the man who had once discarded me without a second thought. What happened next would not only force me to confront my past, but also ignite the fire that propelled me to reclaim my narrative. This is my story, a tale of heartbreak, healing, and the sweet taste of redemption. It all began on a rainy day that seemed to mirror my inner turmoil. I still remember the phone call vividly, a curt text message from Jake, cold and clinical, announcing that he was leaving me for someone who possessed everything I felt I lacked: wealth, style, and an allure that I could never replicate. In that moment, the world turned gray. The vibrant colors of our early romance faded into a dull, painful memory. I spent weeks in a fog of disbelief and sorrow. I replayed every moment we'd shared, the long walks under starry skies, the whispered promises in quiet cafes, the dreams we once wove together, and each memory stung with the realization that it was all now shattered. I questioned myself, wondering what I could have done differently. But deep down, I knew that his decision was never really about me. It was about his own hunger for a lifestyle I could never provide. Every tear, every sleepless night became a seed that, unbeknownst to me, would later blossom into a fierce determination. I vowed that I would not let that betrayal define me. Instead, I resolved to rebuild my life piece by piece, using the very pain he inflicted as the foundation for my future. Chapter 2. A journey of healing. The months that followed were a crucible of emotions. I immersed myself in work and new hobbies, and in self-discovery. I learned to find solace in the little victories, a kind word from a friend, a long walk that cleared my mind, a heartfelt journal entry that acknowledged my struggles without letting them overwhelm me. I traveled solo, seeking experiences that would remind me of my own strength. I enrolled in creative writing classes, poured my heart into art, and gradually began to see that the world was still full of possibilities. Each challenge I faced only reaffirmed one undeniable truth: I was capable of rising again, stronger than ever. Slowly but surely, I began to heal. The wound of the breakup, though still tender, transformed into a well of resilience. I built a small circle of friends and mentors who believed in me, who saw the spark of brilliance beneath the layers of hurt. Their support became the wind beneath my wings, pushing me toward a future where I was in full control of my destiny. 7 years passed. I had learned to love again, loving my life, my work, and most importantly, myself. I had even started dating, casually, never quite forgetting the lessons of my past. Then, one evening, fate decided to intervene. I had booked a reservation at a renowned five-star restaurant as a treat to myself, a celebration of my progress and a quiet moment of self-reflection. The ambience was everything I had once imagined: luxurious decor, soft music, and an air of sophistication that promised a night of elegance. I settled into my seat near a large window, the city's twinkling lights forming a backdrop of hope. An endless possibility. As I scanned the room, my eyes locked on a familiar figure. It was Jake. He was there dressed impeccably in a designer suit, exuding the aura of the affluent man he had become. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow. The memories of our past, our laughter, our shared dreams, the excruciating pain of his departure flooded my mind. I felt a rush of emotions, anger, nostalgia, and a curious sense of determination. I took a deep breath and continued with my meal, though every nerve in my body was alight with tension. I couldn't decide whether to confront him or simply let fate take its course. But one thing was clear: this unexpected encounter was not mere coincidence. It was an opportunity, a chance to finally close the chapter on a story that had haunted me for so long. After that fateful evening at the luxurious restaurant, I couldn't shake the image of Jake's impeccably tailored suit, nor the slight hint of uncertainty in his eyes. As I walked back to my hotel under a canopy of glittering city lights, every step felt heavy with unresolved questions. I replayed that brief exchange in my mind, the soft murmur of his surprise, the hesitation before he tried to speak, and the pounding in my chest that told me this encounter was more than mere chance. Back in the solitude of my room, I sat down, with a cup of chamomile tea, trying desperately to soothe my racing thoughts. My journal lay open on the bedside table, beckoning me to capture the torrent of emotions. I began writing. Tonight, I saw him again. Jake, the man who once tore my heart apart with his callous departure for a life of glitter and wealth. His face, marked by both pride and something resembling regret, stirred memories I'd long tried to bury. Yet, amidst the swirl of old hurt and new questions, there was also a spark, a whisper that perhaps this encounter was meant to be a turning point. The words flowed slowly, each line a mixture of sorrow and a growing sense of resolve. I realized that the bitterness I had carried for so long might now be transformed into something powerful, a drive to finally confront the past and redefine my future. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat by the window, watching the city below, pulse with life as I wrestled with conflicting emotions. Part of me wanted to reach out to Jake, to demand answers, to demand an explanation for the pain he had caused. Yet another part of me, nurtured by years of quiet healing and hard-earned strength, warned me to tread carefully. I remembered the many sleepless nights after the breakup, the endless hours spent questioning my own worth, and the slow, painful process of rebuilding my life. Now, faced with his presence again, I felt that old sting mixed with a newfound clarity. The encounter had unearthed buried wounds, but it had also ignited determination to reclaim my narrative once and for all. I drafted a message on my phone, hesitating before deleting it again, words that might have provoked a confrontation or reopened old scars. Instead, I decided that the time for impulsive actions was over. I needed a plan, a carefully crafted strategy to address this unresolved chapter in my life. I made a promise to myself. I will not let the past dictate my future. Tonight was a reminder that I have grown, that I have become stronger. I will use this encounter as the catalyst to finally close this painful chapter and begin a journey of reclaiming my self-worth. The next morning brought with it a sense of resolve. I knew that to truly move forward, I needed to understand what I wanted from this confrontation, and more importantly, what I wanted from my life. I began by reaching out to those who had supported me through the years. I called my closest friend, Melissa, whose steady presence had always helped me see through the haze of heartbreak. "Sam, I heard about what happened last night," Melissa said as soon as I explained the encounter. "I know this must be stirring up a lot of old wounds, but maybe it's time you confront this once and for all on your terms." Her voice was gentle but firm, encouraging me to turn this moment into an opportunity rather than a relapse into past pain. Taking her advice to heart, I spent the day reflecting on my journey. I revisited old photos and mementos, each one a reminder of how far I had come since that devastating breakup. I reviewed the diary entries that had chronicled my Struggles and triumphs, each word a testament to the resilience I had built over the years. Slowly, I felt a shift within me. The sharp pain of the past was gradually being replaced by a determined desire to move forward. To reclaim my narrative with dignity and strength, I also began drafting ideas for a new project, a personal blog, and video series dedicated to sharing stories of heartbreak turned into triumph. I wanted to create a space where others who had been hurt by shallow choices could find solace, inspiration, and the courage to rebuild their lives. As I outlined the concepts, I realized that my story was not just mine. It was a beacon for anyone who had ever been cast aside. That evening, a few days after the encounter, I decided it was time to take action. I booked a quiet table at another upscale restaurant, this time not by chance but by design. I needed to see Jake again, not to confront him in anger, but to finally get the closure I so desperately craved. The ambience was intimate, with soft lighting and a gentle murmur of conversation that seemed to cocoon me from the bustling world outside. When he arrived, I was prepared. I had taken a moment to center myself before he approached. As soon as our eyes met, I nodded slightly, a silent acknowledgement of our shared history and the unspoken truths that lingered between us. "Jake," I said firmly, "it's been a long time." My tone was measured, neither aggressive nor overly friendly, just steady and resolute. He hesitated for a moment, then responded, "Samantha, I didn't expect to see you here." I continued, "I'm not here to rehash the past, but to understand it. To find out if you ever truly realize the impact of your choices." His eyes flickered with uncertainty, a mix of regret and defensiveness. For a long minute, neither of us spoke, and the silence was heavy with the weight of old memories. Then, softly, I added, "I've spent the last 7 years rebuilding my life, finding strength in my own resilience. And now, standing here in a place of luxury and sophistication, I can't help but wonder, did you ever feel the loss, the guilt, the emptiness of leaving someone behind?" Jake's expression wavered, and he opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, he looked away, as if struggling to reconcile the person he once was with the person I had become. That conversation, brief as it was, planted the seed for a transformation. It wasn't the confrontation I had imagined in my darkest moments, but it was enough a spark that would eventually ignite a full, fiery reclamation of myself. Worth. In the days following our unexpected dinner encounter, my heart was a maelstrom of unresolved emotions. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jake's face, a face that once held promise, now shadowed by regret and uncertainty. That brief conversation had reopened old wounds, but also ignited a burning determination I hadn't felt in years. At work, whispers started to circulate. Former colleagues, some of whom had quietly envied the success I had rebuilt, began to share their own versions of our past. Their stories, interlaced with the same pain I felt, pushed me to face the reality that my journey wasn't just personal. It was becoming a public statement of resilience. One afternoon, while scrolling through social media, I noticed a surge of supportive messages under a blog post about overcoming heartbreak. The post, anonymous but stirring, mentioned a woman who had redefined her life after being dumped by someone who chose wealth over genuine connection. The parallels were undeniable, and soon the hashtag Rise with Samantha began trending locally. That digital validation was both empowering and a signal that my story was ready to be told on a larger stage. With mounting public support and an unyielding urge for closure, I decided it was time to step beyond private confrontations and address the issue publicly. I reached out to Michael Thompson, the investigative journalist who had previously taken an interest in my story, and arranged for a live interview on a popular local news channel. On the day of the broadcast, the studio buzzed with a mixture of anticipation and tension. The lights were bright, the cameras focused, and as I sat across from the interviewer, I could almost feel the weight of every past disappointment and every hard-won lesson. I took a deep breath and began. I'm Samantha, and my journey is one defined not by the heartbreak of the past, but by the strength it took to rise above it. 7 years ago, I was left shattered when Jake chose a life of glitter and shallow promises over genuine love. Tonight, I'm here to say that I've transformed that pain into purpose. I'm not here to dwell on old wounds, I'm here to inspire. A movement that reminds us all, true worth is never measured by material riches, but by the courage to reclaim your life. The interview was raw and honest. Michael's probing questions forced me to revisit the most painful moments, the cold text messages, the endless nights of self-doubt, and the shock of seeing Jake again in that high-end restaurant. With every answer, I felt the catharsis of speaking my truth. I described not just the hurt, but also the journey of healing, the small victories, and the quiet moments of determination that led me to this point. As the segment concluded, the live broadcast ended with a powerful statement of resilience that resonated with viewers. Within hours, the news was picked up by various local media outlets. The public conversation shifted, and soon my story was being hailed as a beacon of empowerment, a narrative that turned heartbreak into a call for justice. Emboldened by the positive media response, I attended a high-profile industry gala where leaders in business and innovation gathered. The event was a celebration of success, yet beneath the glittering surface, I sensed an undercurrent of tension and awareness that not everything was as perfect as it seemed out. As I mingled with influential figures and exchanged pleasantries with former colleagues, I kept a careful eye on Jake. There he was again, effortlessly charming in his designer suit, trying to blend into the crowd. But this time, I was not the naive woman he once knew. I had a plan. I approached the event stage during a break in the program. The microphone was open and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. "Good evening," I began, my voice steady and clear. "I'm Samantha, and tonight I want to share a simple truth. The choices we make, however painful, shape us into who we are meant to become." I paused, scanning the audience. Among the glittering faces, I saw a flicker of recognition. Some looked at me with empathy, others with curiosity, and I noticed Jake's eyes narrow ever so slightly. I continued, recounting my journey of heartbreak, resilience, and the transformation that led me to this very moment. I spoke about the strength it takes to face the past, the power of public support, and the importance of reclaiming your narrative. My words, a blend of raw emotion and calculated conviction, resonated deeply with the crowd. At the end of my impromptu speech, the applause was thunderous. I left the stage knowing that I had not only reclaimed my voice, but had also ignited a spark that could not be extinguished. That night marked a turning point, a moment when every setback, every painful memory, coalesced into a newfound resolve to forge ahead. In the weeks following the gala, the buzz surrounding my story reached a fever pitch. The media had turned my personal journey into a public crusade for authenticity and resilience. Invitations to high-profile interviews and industry panels poured in, and I found myself at the center of a movement that celebrated overcoming heartbreak and reclaiming self-worth. It was during one such televised panel, held in a prestigious studio filled with influential business leaders and journalists, that fate delivered its final confrontation. The topic was redefining success through adversity, and as I sat among fellow speakers, I could feel the energy in the room shift when a familiar face appeared on the monitor, a live feed connecting to an exclusive interview with none other than Jake. The moderator introduced the segment with a note of irony. "Tonight, we have a special moment as Samantha is joined live by Jake, who once left her heart in tatters for a life of luxury. Let's see if time has softened old wounds. My heart pounded as Jake's face filled the screen. Dressed in a suit that now seemed less impressive and more forlorn, he looked directly into the camera. For a long, heavy moment, the air was thick with anticipation. Then, with a voice that trembled ever so slightly, he began, "Samantha, I never truly understood what I lost. Back then, I thought wealth and glamour were the keys to happiness. But now, watching you shine, I realize I was wrong." A murmur rippled through the studio. I took a steadying breath and leaned forward, my voice clear and resolute as I responded, "Jake, what you did years ago wasn't just a breakup. It was a betrayal that cut deep and changed everything. I spent years rebuilding my life from the fragments of that pain, and every step has made me stronger. Tonight, I'm not here to seek forgiveness or to mend old wounds. I'm here to show that my journey, my growth, and my success speak for themselves." The conversation that followed was raw and unscripted, a public airing of past regrets, hard truths, and a glimpse of hope for redemption. While Jake offered a tentative apology and reflections on his misguided choices, I maintained my focus on my own narrative. I spoke passionately about the power of resilience and the importance of forging your own path. Regardless of the mistakes others make. As the segment ended, the applause in the studio was thunderous. The message was clear: my transformation, my triumph over heartbreak, had resonated not only with the audience, but with a broader public that have long suffered under the weight of broken promises. In the aftermath of that televised confrontation, the impact on my personal and professional life was profound. The public outcry and overwhelming support from the community forced Jake to step back from his previous life of ostentatious wealth and shallow indulgence. Instead, he embarked on his own journey of self-reflection. While I continued to push forward with unyielding determination, I began a new chapter by launching a series of inspirational workshops and an online platform dedicated to helping others rebuild their lives after personal betrayal. Every workshop was infused with the lessons I've learned, the importance of self-worth, the value of resilience, and the undeniable truth that our past does not define our future. At one particular moving event held in a sleek, modern auditorium, I addressed a crowd of eager listeners. Our failures, our heartbreaks, and even the betrayals we endure are not the end of our story. They are the beginning of our transformation. Today, I invite you to join me in turning pain into power, to use every setback as a stepping stone to a brighter, more authentic future. The audience erupted in applause, and I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. I had not only reclaimed my narrative, but also become a beacon of hope for countless others who had been scarred by similar experiences. Years later, as I reflect on my journey from heartbreak to empowerment, I see a tapestry woven with threads of pain, perseverance, and ultimate triumph. My life today is a testament to the power of resilience, a living reminder that every ending is just a new beginning. I now lead a thriving community initiative that supports individuals overcoming personal and professional betrayals. My story is shared across platforms as an inspiration for those who dare to rebuild, reimagine, and rise above the cruelties of the past. I mentor young women, encouraging them to trust in their own strength and to never let anyone define their worth. Every time I glance at old photographs or read journal entries filled with raw emotions, I am reminded of the nights I spent questioning my value and the days I fought to reclaim my dignity. I know that my journey will continue to inspire others, fueling a movement that celebrates resilience, integrity, and the courage to defy the odds. As I sign off on another chapter of my life, I leave you with these words: true empowerment comes from within. Embrace your pain, harness your strength, and know that every betrayal can be the catalyst for a remarkable comeback. Your legacy is not written by those who forsake you, but by the fire you ignite in yourself.